Good morning, Errol.
How are you doing today, sir?
What? What's for breakfast? I'm hungry.
Oh, really? Tell me about it. I was sitting here about ready to chomp down on some Trident gum, so I wouldn't have to because once I start eating here in the South, you just can't stop.
Well, that sounds pretty desperate. You're in Charlotte, right?
Yes, sir.
A great city. I've always liked Charlotte. That's my mother's name was Charlotte.
Oh, really? So now, have you been?
Yeah.
You've played here, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, but I'm sure I slid through there at one point in my career. But no, I've traveled all over. In fact, I was in China 8 times in 2019.
Oh my
I
God.
love the Pacific Rim where they, for some reason, love me. But that's been an interesting. That's another whole hour of conversation.
That's interesting that you bring up China because my wife's ex-husband is a record producer and performer, and he has spent a lot of time in China as well. And they embrace American music in China.
Well, it's amazing. I mean, the big record in China and all the Pacific Rim is a song called Casablanca.
Yep.
In fact, they voted in China as one of the top 10 most important songs of all Home on the Range, if you can imagine that, is Casablanca. But I was in China, as I mentioned, 8 times in 2019. I wouldn't go back right now. I think things are a little stressed with
Yep.
Pelosi going to, to Taiwan. But I don't really, I don't know, I have no opinion on that. That's political things.
Yeah, yeah. How do you keep politics out of your lyrics? Because we're both very creative people, and it's like I do a thing called hidden speak. It's like I'll write about it, but I won't write about it because I'm using other words to describe the situation. Is it the same thing for a songwriter?
Well, I did write a song called "The Flag's on Fire." That's several years ago, and I did it on the Jerry Lewis Telethon out of Vegas because they were burning the American flag at that time in a lot of countries throughout the world. I said, "This is ridiculous," and it angered me. So I wrote my political protest song, "The Flag's on Fire." In fact, that's available on this new Time Life deal.
I
But
love the idea when you guys work with Time Life like this because Pirates and Poets and things like that. This is a piece of music history that does not need to be lost in time. You guys are pushing this forward in a way that it needs to be where we are today.
I agree. And when I do write songs, this funny. I've had an offer to sell my entire package recently. That's my masters and publishing and all that.
Wow.
But they don't like to purchase new music because new music is really strange. When I write a song right now these days, and I've written over 250 of them, I'm not sure what to write about. I'm not sure how to go at it. So that's my thinking on songwriting.
I was going to ask you about that because TikTok has changed so much, especially when it comes to the length of what listeners want for a song. It might be 30 seconds, it might be a minute and a half.
Yeah, well, I try to keep mine at about 3.5 minutes.
Good for
It
you.
used to be in the old days that radio wouldn't hardly play it if it was any longer than that because they couldn't get enough ad time in. So I come from the old school of songwriting and so in fact I go back in the studio every now and I see how advanced the technology has become. We used to record on 2-inch magnetic tape. Well, those days are gone.
But the greatest thing about that though, Bertie, is the punch editing. I mean, when you go in there and you've got the digital works right there in front of you. I mean, it's like I mess up on a vocal and I can go in there and perfect that darn thing.
Yeah, I mean, and there are programs that'll take every note that you've got, and if it's a little flat or sharp, it'll fix it.
Yep.
And I've got a guy that I work with a lot in Van Nuys, California, Eddie Hedges. He was part of a band called Blessed Union of Souls, but he's got great ears. And I'd like to do vocals out there with Eddie because he just helps me get it right. Let's put it that way.
What is he like to be with? Only because I know when people speak out of tune, and I sit there and I kind of cringe and stuff like that, and I help people speak better. But I mean, for him, he's always got to be in tune with what's happening.
Yeah, who, Eddie? Yeah, he's
Yeah.
very much in tune. And he's got great programs that take my lousy vocals on a bad day and cleans them right up, gets them in line. Let's put it that way.
One of the things that I love about this Time Left project that you've got, Pirates and Poets, is the fact that you're proving to the music world that you're not Mr. Adult Contemporary. There is some rock in this. There is a wide variety of music. This is the stuff that we're searching for. It's like a new music store these days.
Well, I started off as a rock drummer with Tommy Rowe, and I've always got this go get it attitude when it comes to rock and roll. One of my favorite songs, period, is "Money for Nothing" and "Your Chicks for Free."
Yeah.
In fact, I did a version of it, and of course Sting co-wrote that, and I don't know. I've got a rock and roll heart part of me. Every now and then I got to do one. In fact, I'm going to write my next song. It's called "If the Yachts Are Rockin', Don't Come a Knockin'." But I haven't written it yet. But I've already got a music track in my head. So it'll take me a year to put that thing down, because I let song ideas run through my head for about a year before I start banging them out.
That's interesting, because I believe in stream thinking, living in the presence of now, and I mean, for a song to materialize the way that you're talking about, I mean, how you go in and basically just drop the tracks down and then build upon it?
Well, normally I'll pick up my Martin guitar and bang out an idea, but then I take it to Nashville, Paul Skolton's studio up there, and he's got great players on the sessions, and they'll come up with an arrangement, and which of course is. I've got to approve the arrangement, and then I'll come down here in my own little home studio and lay down a scratch vocal. So that's basically how I put it together.
Wow.
Every now and then I'll come up with a song idea, a title, because to me that's the strength of the song, a title, and which repeats in the choruses. And I'll let that roll through my head for a year before I start banging it out,
Man, you speak of titles like that, and right away I'm thinking of The Wreck of the Edmunds Fitzgerald, and I'm going, hey, dude, I think you messed up. I don't remember you even singing about The Wreck of the Edmunds Fitzgerald.
Well, that's Gordon Lightfoot, who's
yeah.
one of my favorite lyricists. Gordon is in fact, I know him pretty well, and he was always an inspiration to me, but not particularly the hit singles, but the album cuts. He's got some album cuts out there that just blow me away. I met him on the set of the Merv Griffin show. And he'd been drinking, as Gordon was known to do in those days. And he came down from the green room banging on the wall, bouncing off the walls. And he got tangled up in all the ropes and pulleys backstage and wanted me to help him get out the back door to go to the bar across the alley, which I ultimately did. And that's where I got to know Gordon from.
See,
bless his heart, but he straightened his act up. He's back out on the road, man.
See, it's stories like that don't make the inside sleeve of an album cover, and that's part of the reason why I read Rolling Stone, or I'll get Cream and stuff like that, because we are missing the story.
Excuse me. Go ahead. I'm sorry, man.
It's like we're missing the story of music. Sure, we can really take in the lyrics, which we cherish, but on our side of the speakers, it's almost it's our interpretation. But man, when you get to know the artist, I mean, and you hear the artist talk about it, that to me is a real connection.
Yeah, I mean, it's we got to understand we're all human beings, and as long as we're observant, especially as songwriters. I mean, when I drive down the highway, I'm looking at every billboard and listening to talk radio, whatever it is. Every now and then an idea will come down the pike, and I'll say, like Burt Reynolds was a good friend at one time, and he said, Bertie, it's the best thing in the world when you fall in love with someone who falls in love with you. And I went, wow, what a great song. And that I wrote the song When You Fall in Love because of that. So you're always picking up on a comment or a one-liner or something. I've got a song idea right now called The River. I was watching Lawrence of Arabia again for the third time about 6 months ago, and Anthony Quinn had a role in that where he rode a black stallion, and he had a bunch of degenerate people, guys, his army, and Lawrence was talking to him at dinner one night in his tent, and he said, "You must have a lot of money." And Anthony Quinn says, "No, I'm a river to my people. Everything I have flows to them. And I went, great idea. So the river is, her love is like a river. It flows through me into my heart.
I was gonna say, do you find yourself being a silent watcher or a wolf? Because, and the reason why I bring that up is because you're very observant of everything that's around you, like a silent wolf.
Yeah, but the whole idea is you only steal from the very best. If you're going to steal something, take it from the best, a proven entity, and without plagiarizing.
That is so true. That's why I like hanging out with like real people, because real people will say the darndest things just like kids do, and it's like, oh, thank you very much for that seed. I'm gonna plant that monkey.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. And your name is Errol, right?
Yes, sir.
As in Flynn.
No, arrow as in bow and arrow. I was one of those weird people in radio that wanted to make a difference when it came to the ratings. But, man, I'll tell you, it kind of backfired because of, like, Errol Flynn and Harold and Earl and stuff like that.
Well, you know, when my last son was born, we thought it was going to be a girl, and it was going to be Aaron, Erin. And out popped this little guy, and I looked down, and I went, that's not a girl. I said, that's Aaron, Aaron.
Yes.
So one of the things I call him is Arrowhead. So I can relate, man. I can relate.
When you're singing across the microphone with Roy Orbison, what moves through your creative imagination? I mean, that had to be a moment that you knew you would be carrying forward.
Well, Roy, I've known for a long time, has an amazing voice. I mean, it's different because he doesn't go into falsetto much. And we were singing Leah. We were only standing about 2.5, 3 feet apart with a Neumann mic in front of each of us. And when you sing with that guy, he pulls the very best out of you. And when he hits that last high note without going into falsetto, your hair just curls. It's an amazing thing. That was a very cold night of creative workshop in Nashville. And I remember it like it was yesterday. And I miss Roy. I think he was called away way too soon.
Mm-hmm. I've talked with his son, and his son said the same exact thing, and it's just amazing. You know, it's the way that the world still embraces what he brought to every one of us.
Well, you know, he was quite a humble man too,
yes,
and that's what I try to be. You know, your ego can get out of control when you do what we do, but in the beginning of it, probably, and I think back, I was a little out of control. But those days, the years have a way of tempering your ego, that you realize that you're just a guy, you know, and that happened to be in the right place, the right time, got lucky. And the Lord gave you a ability to write a song that may end up touching the world. And that's what I try to do when I write a thing, is to make sure that I'm trying to touch as many people in the world as I can.
Have you ever had a song that radio did not play, but yet you loved it so much, and even today you go back to it because it's still very much alive inside your soul?
Absolutely. I mean, not all my songs are that way. In case every now and then I'll write a turkey and record it. But it's time, like I wrote one time with a Bogart attitude called Tokyo Joe, and I will never play it live. I can't even listen to it, but I get emails all the time. Thank you, Bertie, for writing this. It changed my life. And I went, damn, you just never know what's going to happen, you know? It's amazing to me.
That is so true. And it's and you sit there and you go, really? And you don't want to share the story as to how it came into being because you don't want to spoil, you know, their version of the song.
Yeah, because they painted it as one way, totally diametrically opposed to why you wrote it. So and I don't want to rain on their parade. Let them have what they have emotionally in their heads. Like some of the most famous paintings in the world, the artist couldn't tell you why he painted it.
So true.
But you know, and it's the same with movies. It's the same with all of it. Everyone's got their own opinion in their heart and their brain what this means to them. So let them have their day in the sun, you know?
You talk about paintings. I'm in a studio where it's just overflowing with paintings that I've put on a canvas. And I cannot tell you why I enjoy these paintings and why they continue to hang. I mean, a song has got to be the same way. It flowed through you.
Yeah, it's a gift. I mean, you got to understand it comes from a supreme power. I think it comes from God.
Yep.
As it flows through you. You're simply the instrument of it. You have really nothing to do with it. But I do have songwriting history in my family. Goethe, the poet who wrote Faust, is my great great
Oh
great
my
grandfather.
God! Wow.
So I assume that came down the DNA, and here I am, struggling the same as I'm sure he struggled.
Yeah, but somewhere along the line, you had to become the listener, and it grabbed you by the nape of the neck and said, "Bertie, this is the way we're going to go, and I don't care what your vision is. You're going to have to do it my way."
Well, that's where a producer can come in and screw it up,
Yes.
because I've been through that too.
Yes.
So that's why I basically produce my own things, and I don't write like I used to write for the world. I just write for me, because I figure I'm just an average guy in the world, and if it moves me, it's going to move guys that are similar to me or people that are similar to me.
Oh, Bertie, my God, when you talk about producers, I don't know how many times I sat in a studio with a producer and I was like, no. And they go, no, you relinquish control. It's my job. No, that's not the way I'm hearing it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean, Aaron. Or Errol. I like the, is it spelled A-A-A-R? Well, how's it spelled?
Well, it's spelled Arroe. We were up in Lewistown, Montana in 1981, and I just didn't want to use the name Clarence on the radio. And so my wife and I, we sat there and said, well, you got to come up with something that people are going to remember. And so we decided we dropped the W and put an E in there, and man, that just screwed everything up for the past 43 years.
Well, Arrowhead has been great. Arrowhead. I like it.
So now when,
yes, sir.
When you put out a project like Pirates and Poets, what does that do for your current imagination in the way that, I mean, here you are with songs. I mean, was it a dear future reader, dear future listener kind of a moment?
No, it's from my publicist, actually.
Okay.
With the label I was with in Atlanta, he went, you're a pirate and a poet. And I said, well, that's a great song idea. And so then I decided to name that album Pirates and Poets. And there's some good stuff on it, and there's a couple of turkeys as far as I'm concerned.
You have to have those turkeys because that's what inspires what's going on, for future big hits.
But that's why I never opinionate songs to people who like the music. As I was saying earlier, let them have their day. When I wrote Tokyo Joe, it changed my life.
Yeah.
I went, good Lord, that's scary.
Wow. Have you ever had one of those songs that could be done in 1:45 or 2 minutes and 15 seconds, but you know that radio, because that's what I loved about the 60s with the Beatles and things like that. I loved a good short song, but in order to get attention, it's going to have to go 3:30, 3:45.
I try to make every recording 3 to 3.5 minutes so it'll fit on the radio.
Yeah.
Because that's where that was the Lord of, with everyone, radio play. Well, Airhead, how's your morning going, man? You having a good one?
I'm always having a good morning. The phone calls are always calling in and stuff like that. How about your morning?
It's great. I've been on a diet, so I eat a lot of oatmeal from McDonald's with their fruit. And about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm starving, so
Yep.
I go to Beverly and I go, fix me a snack. And then the snack will be sometimes too good, so I don't eat any dinner. But I got to lose a little weight. I don't know what you weigh, but I think I'm overweight. Don't we all?
Yeah, it's one of the things that I picked up on the Elvis movie was the peanut butter, banana, and bacon sandwich that he did. Have you tried one of those? And the reason we talk about weight and what we're eating and stuff like that, I have to have it all the time.
Well, I've never tried. In fact, have you seen the new movie Elvis?
I have.
Is it happening?
Yeah. Bertie, let me tell you what happens in this movie. You get to see the artist. You don't get to see the Elvis that was flamboyant and just energetic and stuff like that. But you actually get to see those moments. And I'm sure you've been there too. When that curtain closes and you look at your band, and you go, "Oh my God, I've got to have air. I've got to breathe."
Well, of course. But ironically, we're talking about Elvis. I watched his documentary last night of his opening night in Las Vegas, and I watched him perform. The guy just was amazing in strength on the stage, and a little goofy at times, which was interesting to me. If you get a chance, look at the documentary. I think it's called "That's How It Was." It's a 2-hour-long documentary, but it'll let you see Elvis on his opening night in Vegas. Wow. Just blew me away.
Well, you continue to blow me away with your stories as well, and you've got to come back to this show anytime in the future. The door is always going to be open for you, Bertie.
Well, God bless you, Arrowhead, and it's good talking to you, lad. I appreciate it so much. God bless you.
Well, God bless you too, because I mean, I can't imagine the world without you. Because I mean, to this day, I mean, I listen to your music, and it's more than just memories; it's an actual event, and it's because it moved through you and it reached us.
Well, Zell Miller, the ex-governor of Georgia, wrote a book, and I've got a few pages in the book, and he opens up with Bertie Higgins is a heck of a storyteller. And then I come to realize the more you write about your life, the more you touch the world, because a lot of people go through the things you've been through.
So true.
The highs and the lows and all of it. Even though I try to write my songs in the format that touches the world, that's very important to me.
So
Can
true.
people relate to what you're talking about?
Well,
I get tired of talking about I love you, I love you, I love you, but I do love the world and I love the people in it.
Oh my God.
There you go, man.
Oh my God. I'm shocked you didn't become a radio disc jockey, because it is all about relate.
Well, good luck with your future, man. You're a great guy to talk to, and I appreciate you talking to me. I mean, that's flattering to me, and I truly appreciate it.
Oh, excellent. Will you be brilliant today, okay, sir?
Bye-bye.